When you work for an aftermarket performance parts company, imagine what you can do with a golf cart.
GolfCartingTV is your inside source for the coolest upgrades, mods, and accessories to take your trusty golf cart from drab to fab.
Hey there and welcome back to Golf Karting TV. My name is Matt with Converted Carts. Thrilled to have you back here today for another episode, and today's a good one. As I referenced in the little teaser part, this guy works for Steeda Performance Parts. They do aftermarket performance parts for a lot of Ford products, and so he had a lot of fun with his 2012 RXV. So let's jump in here, take a look, and see what he's done. Awesome. So Scott, we appreciate you having us kind of out today, I guess, virtually, but tell me who you are, where you're at, and just give me the basics of the cart first, and then we'll jump in and take a quick closer look.
All right. I'm Scott Boda. I'm in Valdosta, Georgia, and I've got a 2012 EZGO RXV.
Awesome. And how long have you been working on this thing?
Been working on it for probably about a year and a half now.
Cool. So, hey, Scott, this is great. Let's look at this thing a little bit closer. Tell me where, I know you started with the 2012. Was it like all the way down to the bare bones and you took it up from there, or tell me a little bit about the story behind the cart?
So the story behind the cart is it's actually the owner of Steeda's cart. It used to be his cart, that I should say, and it was in great shape. It was a 2012 EZGO RXV. It sat on the same wheels, different tires, and completely stock. It was his cart for when he'd come up here to Valdosta, Georgia, and it was kind of hanging out at the shop for a while. And I had asked Dario, the owner, hey, do you mind if I start modifying the cart a little bit? You know, I'm a drag racer, so it goes to the track every time we go out to the track to kind of get around the pits easier, helps the camera guy and stuff like that. And it's kind of like one of those things where I'm in the Mustang performance aftermarket, and there's so many different things you can do to a vehicle, right? No two Mustangs, no two Jeeps, right, look alike. And I noticed that with the golf carts, and it's like there's so many valuable resources out there for you to be able to customize these and truly make it your own. And it was a trip to South Florida about a year and a half ago that I went for a ride in my buddy Billy's cart. And, you know, he's got a boy and he takes him to baseball and likes to take him to school in it. And he had recently done a Navitas swap on it and an eco battery. And I was just blown away, right? I was just like, this is incredible. I can't believe a golf cart can do a wheelie. And it was based on that trip that I was absolutely hooked.
That's awesome. So I'm assuming then you've got something under the seat there. Why don't we start there? Tell me what you've put in place here.
So the first thing I did was go with the Navitas controller, right? It was still lead acid and everything at the time. And it was awesome. It was a game changer. We went from about 19 miles an hour in freedom mode all the way up to 32 miles an hour. The problem was the batteries didn't like it too much, right? The lead acid went from getting about 20 miles to about 10 miles very, very quickly. So,
and then you upgraded to eco battery. It looks like there. What size is that?
So this is the 70 volt 105 AH. Originally, I had started with the 51 volt 105, but we have a saying at Steeda that speed matters. And while it was fun and it increased the performance from about 32 miles an hour up to 39 with the eco, you know, I'm a nut. I four-wheel scaled it. I wanted to see what weight distribution did. The lithium battery, it's incredible. It saved 209 pounds. I mean,
yeah.
And you shed that off a golf cart, it was almost 20% of the weight of it. And it also moved the weight around about 5%, got it off the back tires onto the front. So it handled a lot better. But, you know, as a lot of people that are into speed, you're always itching for more. So I wanted to go faster, reached out to the guys at Eco. They told me kind of what to do, what was needed for the RXVs. I know sometimes they get a bad rap, right, because of the regen braking and there's being no physical brakes on the cart.
Yeah.
But That's the beauty of the internet nowadays, right? You could do your research, you can go online, figure out what works, what doesn't work. Unfortunately, there's some bad examples out there of things that have happened when people, are on the brakes too hard and things like that. So I went with a dual resistor setup on it to try to dissipate that heat. I got some heat fins in there, and I'll get you some pictures, but also made a little ram air effect to it. So there's a snorkel underneath the car that helps direct air up to those resistors. And then the beauty of something like a Navitas, right? You're able to play with it. You could adjust brake gain and things like that. And it really made it so you could dial it in exactly the way you want it. So it had all the creature comforts. I'll be honest, my wonderful wife does not like doing 45 plus miles an hour. Her cruising speed's a little more 11 to 13. But
Right.
hey, when you want to get on that pedal, it really moves it hauls the freight.
And what's cool with those Navitas kits included with the battery and all the stuff that works together is that you can adjust all that stuff, right? So yeah, you've got your little on-the-fly programmer, so you can turn it down, you can lock it if your kids are driving it, and there's all kinds of variations. Somebody like you who knows what they're doing and wants to have some fun with it can really get in there and do some damage. Somebody who's just kind of, hey, I just want this thing to go a little bit faster, that's also really easy to set up and go as well.
The other great thing about the RXV is you got a factory AC motor. It might only be 3.3 kilowatts, but it turns over 12,000 RPMs. And that's because of the aggressive gear ratio, but still, you have a golf cart that can be easily modified to go fast.
Well, tell us a little bit about the body here. So is this a paint job or is this an upgraded, just a body itself, or what did you do on the body?
Absolutely nothing to the body. It's a stock paint color. Like I said, the owner used it for when he came in town. So it was always garage kept. It's never really been in the rain unless I'm out there with the dogs and get caught in the rain. And, it's exactly the way EZGO delivered it.
Yeah. And then, so as far as the wheels and tires, you said the wheels are the same that you got when you got it, but you've changed out the tires. Is that what you said?
That's right. So when I got it, it had the 20-inch street tires, which I like to call basically a glorified rubber band. It was a little rough, right? And here in South Georgia, we got some dirt roads, and I like to take the dogs out to the dog park and stuff like that on the disc golf course. So I went with the all-terrain. They're the mod tires, 22-inch, so provided, an additional 2 inches of sidewall. The 23s, when I did some measurement, there was going to be a little close with the fitment in the back.
Right.
So I went with the 22-inch tires, and I get questions all the time on the boards, on the groups online of, well, what size lift do you have? It's a stock lift. There's no lift on it.
That's the nice thing about the RXV is you can put those up to 22. Like you said, 23 would be a little much, but you can do 22, either the all-terrain like you have, or there's also some 22, some relatively nice street versions with some big 15-inch wheels or something like that that can make it look nice, but fit right there on the stock RXV, which is nice.
And it just rides so much better too. So that was the big thing about that.
Awesome. And I love the front windshield. Tell me a little bit about that. And then I think you've got another option as well. So describe to me kind of how that process works.
I do. So it was just going out there exploring. I mentioned kind of the dogs. We have a daily routine. I come home from work, I let them out, and they're the ones that kind of got me into it because they love going for rides, right? They love the wind in their hair and things like that. So we jump on the golf cart, go for rides, and exploring other neighborhoods. There was a neighbor that had a drop top golf cart, a couple miles away. And I'm like, that is so stinking cool. Like, oh my goodness, because it's one of those things, like I said, you want to modify it. You want to stand out. You want to look a little different. So I figured out a way. Let's move the top, fabricated the windshield myself, basically picked up some aluminum angle from Home Depot, 1x1, 1/8 inch thick, notched it out, had the guys at work weld it, had it powder coated, reached out to one of our Lexan suppliers and had the window basically just cut to spec, used all stainless steel hardware on it. So I don't have to worry about anything rusting and stuff like that. And it's basically the fall and springtime setup is what you're looking at right now. So,
and then you have a top then, so that comes off and then gets replaced with an actual, like a not standard, but at least customized, but it's got struts and the whole deal whenever you need a top.
That's right. In fact, it just came off. Once we kind of hit football season, we knew the cooler weather was right around the corner. So I pulled off the top. But yeah, just your standard easy go black roof. So it matched everything because when I originally got the cart, it had the tan seats to it. So I also ordered the mod seats for it in the front, the complete replacements. And then I did the seat covers in the back
Okay.
that added some extra bolstering to them with
Yep.
actually some of the packing that it came with. So wrapped those myself. Obviously, add the rear cup holders and stuff like that. And then when the top comes off, I kind of made a little roll bar for it for a little bit of added safety and just to kind of just make it look a little different. So
Yeah. So you fabricated that as well, that little piece in the middle?
yeah, so these
That's
are
cool.
actually off of they're setup pieces off of a Bronco, a new Ford Bronco strut tower brace that we make, and those were setup pieces, and found them in the scrap pile and had them welded together and had some welded nameplates put on there, and yeah, powder coated black to match the rest of the cart.
That's very cool. And then I think I see there's a screen up front. I think I heard you or saw you say online you've got a is that a iPad or something you've got
Yeah.
set up in the front?
So because the golf cart's become my latest addiction, I wanted a way on the weekends to drive around and watch football. Seems a little crazy. Okay, we all got our passions.
Right.
So did some research, and the first couple of screens I got did not do the AirPlay or screen mirroring like I wanted to. So reached out to a couple guys. There's a guy Ryan out in California. He's been an awesome help. He suggested, Scott, why don't you just get an iPad? I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. So got an iPad online and then got a regular old Amazon mount for the back of it, but then fabricated a mount out of just some scrap material. So it bolts right underneath the dash, still have plenty of room in the cup holders. It's adjustable. And yeah, just use my phone as a
Nice.
hotspot. And yeah, you can enjoy tunes and whatever else around the iPad.
Very cool. And so is there some speakers and stuff connected or is it just come out of the iPad itself?
I do. I've got a couple of speaker tubes in each compartment.
Got it.
Haven't gone crazy with the stereo. I used to when I was a kid. Don't really want to, disturb the neighbors too much, but it's enough so we can listen to jams and the football games while we're cruising down the road. So
That's very cool. Well, I love what you've done. I mean, all the things, I mean, obviously you've got some skills yourself and then some folks that obviously, to be able to do some of those kind of things. But what would you say is I guess maybe either your favorite or maybe the thing that gets the most compliments or comments when you're driving it around?
well, you definitely get the compliments when the top's down. People look at you like you're a little crazy. It kind of looks like a little mini car or like an old micro machine or something like that, right? Um, I just love the way it's so customizable. I think probably one of the best mods I did was that eco lithium battery because, one of the things you're always worried about with a golf cart is, well, how much range do I have? How much further can I go? And when I did add the Navitas controller and things like that, and you start leaning on it a little bit, the range started going down. Uh, I've posted a bunch in the groups that once you go lithium, you never really go back. I
Yeah.
mean, the worrying about your golf cart battery is a thing of the past. Uh, with the 51 volt setup, I know I was able to go 29 miles and still have 40% left. Now I know they say not to go below 20%, so rough math puts that about 35, 37 miles. So far with some initial testing with the 72 volt, because I've only had it in it for about 3 weeks. And like I was telling you, it's been raining a lot here. I'm looking at 55 miles per
Wow.
charge, which is absolutely incredible because they say they're more efficient and things like that. So when you go to
Yeah.
the bigger voltage.
And you've got a state of charge meter, I assume, somewhere, either in the dash or underneath the seat or something to be able to tell
Yep. State of charge
what's,
meters
yep.
right there in the
Nice.
center of the
Yep.
dash. So I always keep an eye on that. I follow the instructions, which are, hey, plug it in every night. You don't have to worry about it. That way it recalibrates itself and things like that. But
Right.
yeah, once
That's
you go
awesome.
lithium, it's a game changer. Like I said, better handling, less weight, and you don't have to worry about the range of the battery. Kind of just do what you
Yeah.
want to do. So,
Makes a big difference for sure. That's sweet.
but
Awesome.
no,
Well,
it's awesome. Like I said, it's used almost on a daily basis. Uh, so far, it's been able to eclipse just over 47 miles an hour. Does the big power wheelies. We got the wheelies on the back, right? So we don't drag the back bumper. So
There you go.
I learned out that pretty quick once I went to Navitas. So
Yes, for sure. There's a little bit of takeoff on that acceleration for sure.
that's right.
That's awesome. Awesome, Scott. That's so cool. I think you've done a great job. It's cool to see what people have done. There's all kind of creative stuff, and yours is definitely a one of a kind. So I appreciate you taking the time to join me here today.
No problem. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for the wonderful Facebook groups that kind of help steer you and lead you in the right direction to truly make these carts your own.
Well, I hope you're impressed as I was, because that's a pretty sweet cart. So, I mean, that little windshield is just so cool, in my opinion. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and hope you'll be back next week. We have an episode every Wednesday at noon. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff, and we'll see you back here next week.